Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 12:05. And Matt, did you have something you wanted to say about?
Yep. Matthew Bussey, Park and Recreation Director, am not voting in this meeting.
Okay, and so that moves us along to the minutes. I hope I got them all. We never actually dealt with our minutes previously, so this is the 4 meetings we've had so far. April 22nd, April 30th, May 14th, and May 30th. Can we vote on them all together, or did anybody have any issues with any of them?
No issues for me.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes for all 4 dates.
So moved.
Thank you, John. In a second.
Second.
Great. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Rufus, are you able to talk or see?
He's just muted.
Yeah, I know you're muted, so I just want to make sure you could hear us and vote.
I just asked him to unmute.
Aye.
There we go.
Ah, thank you. Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's fine. We are down to public comment. I see we have Lynn H. You have anything you wanted to say, Lynn?
No, thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks for being here. So then that brings us to discussion of bylaws draft and any resulting action. So the big question that we have is, do we want to make any additional changes based on what we learned from the attorney responses to our questions and the discussions that have been held with the commission? Matt, did you want to say something?
Yes. So under Article 3 for membership, Section 6 for the Park and Recreation Director is a non-voting ex officio member. I think it would be much cleaner if a staff member of the department is not a member of the commission at all, just to make it a little more transparent. So I think it would be best if we remove Section 6.
I agree with you, because the way I interpreted Randy DeBella's response on that question was that if you were to be part of the commission, you would be doing it in a volunteer capacity.
Yeah. And I think it would be a conflict of interest if I were to be in a volunteer capacity on the commission, also the executive of the department. So it just kind of didn't show great balance. And I think it would just make more sense if it was just removed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I vote to delete it.
Okay, are we all in agreement there? Or do we need?
Which article is that?
He said.
Article
Section
3,
6.
Section 6. So, yep, under membership.
So we're going to delete that completely.
Yep, I'm recommending to delete that one completely. Would you guys like me to share the screen so that it has the draft of the bylaws so we can see it?
Not right. I mean, I have it. Not yet.
Okay.
Anyone else? I don't care.
As I say, I have it up just in case. I figured just out of preparation if we wanted to go through it on a visual, but if we have it out in front of us, it's even better on paper. So.
Okay, so we're gonna have to. So are we all in agreement? Or do you want to vote on that, or?
That's fine. I mean, I'm in agreement.
Okay, are you okay with that, John?
Everybody, yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
I
great.
said before I was.
Okay, I'm sorry, I lost track. Sorry. Okay. So the next question. Sorry, am I cutting somebody off?
We all voted against to take it out.
Everybody agreed with removing section 6. I'm sorry, Article 3, Section 6. So
Okay.
the Park and Rec director is not going to be a member of the commission.
Right.
Okay. All right, so, the other question was, what do you want to do about the third selectman? What does this subcommittee want to do? And what do we want to recommend to the Park and Rec Commission?
I would leave it as a voting ex officio member.
Okay. John and
Lynn, could
Kate.
you, sorry, Lynn, can you read that aloud for me? I don't have it with me.
Well, it's the concept of whether the third selectman should be a member of the commission. That's what I'm asking about.
Okay,
A voting member, voting.
Yeah. Well, they either can, well, we've gotten information from, I actually think the main question is, do we even want this third selectman on the commission? I think that's the first question to be answered. And if we do want them on there, do we want them to be a voting member? Because there was some discussion about whether or not it was even needed.
If the ordinance states that a Board of Selectmen is a member of the commission. Isn't that what Randy said?
Yes. But we
Yes.
can change the ordinance. If
Okay.
the commission wants to, and if the
Well,
town wants to, the town would ultimately have that decision.
okay. Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's great to have a Board of Selectmen as a member of the commission. That's my opinion on it.
Okay.
but the question is, voting member?
I understand the conflict of interest. I understand that, and as I have said before, and I don't want to be a broken record, but I just feel like if we are operating differently than other commissions, I think we should have a good reason why. I have no problem with the Board of Selectmen. I think what Randy said was, the Board of Selectmen member will be operating in the best interest of the town, voting on this commission and then voting at the Board of Selectmen level. So I honestly don't have a problem with the Board of Selectmen being a voting member. My only thing is, I feel like we should have a reason why if we're operating differently than other commissions in the town. But if the ordinance states that the third selectman is a voting member of the Park and Rec Commission, I don't have a big problem with that as long as we can explain why. That's all. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think just to go on with what Kate said, the only discrepancy I find difficulty with as a staff member that attends the commission meetings and gives a report, it's that discrepancy between operations and programming. So I feel sometimes when I mean, yes, it's great to update the commission on operations and administrative functions, but I feel that having a selectman on the commission blurs that line and boundary of what is the commission's job and what is the selectman's job. And I can see why Jared might have had some confusion when he was in his position, when he had to report to the Board of Selectmen on administrative duties and tasks and the commission on programs. And having that selectman here kind of blurs that line, and the questions are asked about administrative tasks, and administrative tasks might be assigned, and there's the potential for that. And I just foresee that if there was someone in the third selectman position that might not be ethically sound and might not have a great understanding, that might be pushing some administrative things, and they might be pushing some boundaries that are really blurring those lines even more, And then it becomes the Park and Rec director is reporting to the Park and Rec Commission and the Board of Selectmen or the first selectman. And it's the same stuff across the board. So why isn't it just one big happy commission at that point? So, or one big happy meeting where it's the select people and the Park and Rec Commission. So it's to me just a boundary forming and saying that not having the selectman as a voting member of the commission or even just a member of the commission, so that it draws the line of it. The commission is set to do X, Y, and Z, and then the Park and Rec director reports to the Board of Selectmen and reports to them on X, Y, and Z. I get that the third selectman is a great liaison, and I think it was helpful in the past having that third selectman as a liaison, especially when there wasn't a full-time staff member in the department, or if there was a lot going on and that staff member can't attend the Board of Selectmen meeting. But I think that we've reached a point in our evolution and we've reached some growth where we have that stability, and it's a good opportunity for us to say that we have that split, and now it's time for that staff member to start going, reporting to the Board of Selectmen in that capacity instead of having a liaison. And then just the voting concept, to me, I'm a little nervous about the future because there could be somebody who is the third selectman that might vote on something that is just ethically blurring. So let's say it's a big capital item, or it's a project, or it's something that the Park and Rec Commission is pursuing, and it's brought up to the what you call it, the Board of Selectmen level, and it's a really, really big drawn interest question, and it might be something that the town is heavily invested in. And the third selectman already voted on it at the Park and Rec level and said no, but it passed by the commission level and it's brought up to the Board of Selectmen level and they vote no again. It doesn't show full forming support from what the commission, asked of the Board of or asked of anybody to report to the Board of Selectmen. So to me, it just shows that there's a lot of potential for future blurring, especially as we progress, as the Park and Rec department grows, as the commission grows, as the town grows. And I just want to make sure that we establish a firm boundary and give a firm reason why we're splitting, or give a firm reason why we have the third selectman as a voting member of the commission, like Kate said.
I can appreciate that. I just want to make one thing crystal clear, is that the third selectman is not the boss of the Park and Rec director.
I know.
That is the first selectman that has that administrative stuff. And anybody who's in that third selectman or second selectman role needs to understand that boundary very clearly. And that's just something that the town has to make sure that the second and third selectmen understand clearly.
Right.
Because that should never happen. The third selectman should not be directing what the Park and Rec director does.
Right.
But the way you were talking, it sounded like you were worried
Well,
about.
I'm just saying it's something that we would have to, that would need to be stopped, but there's potential for it. If there's somebody who's in the third selectman role and feels that they have that power to do it, even though they don't, it blurs that line. So it's just, to me, it just screams that there's a lot of potential for boundary violations and a lot of potential for issues moving forward with the department and the commission and the Board of Selectmen. So I know that the third selectman is not the person I report to administratively. It's the first selectman, but if, let's say, the third selectman feels empowered to administratively control the department and feel that they need to push certain things because that's their thought process or their feeling or what they feel is correct, and it's more of an administrative thing and it's pushed, and we have a brand new commission and there's not many folk that have been on before, as much as a department head might be able to persuade them not to vote for it or to dissuade the action from being taken, it could happen, and then it becomes a bigger issue. So I just want to try to prevent issues from forming in the future, and I want to be able to be more clear cut with what is the discrepancy between administrative and programmatic, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And I think that you're the only person who can really, because you're living it, that
Right.
you're the best person to sort of explain that and educate the board, the commission members on where that line is.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was really helpful, Matt. That was really helpful to hear you just talk that out because yeah, that makes it's cleaner. It's cleaner. We're just trying to clean this up, not just for us with our particular situation, but for the future.
Yeah.
John, did you have any thoughts on this concept?
I stand by Matt. Makes a lot of sense. I'm willing to take a vote right now. Or do we have to do it through the three selectmen?
No, we
Oh.
should vote because, if, depending on which way it goes, the document needs to be changed. That's why I'm bringing it up. I am not gonna vote because I have too much of a conflict of interest. I don't think anybody in my position could be totally objective on this.
But to clarify, what we are suggesting is to continue to have a third selectman on the board, correct? As an ex officio non-voting member. Is that where the direction we're going?
Well, somebody needs to make a motion because that was what Rufus's opinion was.
My opinion was that it should be a voting member. The reason that I feel that way is that that person is only one commission member. And they have a right to vote however they want on the individual issues. But I tend to look at this slightly differently than Matt because I think that breaking down boundaries is healthier for the Board of Selectmen ultimately. And I think often the Board of Selectmen make decisions without necessarily having a chance to see the nitty gritty of what the different departments or commissions are actually talking about. So, you're just as likely to have a Board of Selectmen member who hasn't had the time to review the budgetary implications and whatnot. But if you have one that is a member and, in order to be a voting member, I would guess you'd have to, I can't remember whether we said you had to make so many meetings or not, but, and that, I
Yeah.
would think that also would apply, but, I just think it's healthier not to necessarily have a separation of all these different departments. So that's why I think it should be a voting member, and whoever the chairman of the commission should be, if there's a sense that, this member is like trying to administrate the commission, no. They've got to step up and tell that person.
But Rufus, when Matt was explaining, he was saying that the commission could potentially vote in favor of a large expenditure, which the selectmen might be against. And then when it comes up to the Board of Selectmen, that same commission member could then vote against it at the selectmen level.
Well, they may anyway. They would anyway. But there's
True.
much of a chance that person who
True.
is involved in the discussion might change their mind. So maybe they're against spending. We spend too much on our kids, look at what we spend on education, blah, blah, blah. But if they're part of the discussion as to why that expenditure is supported by the commission, they may end up getting, I think the possibility is that they may end up possibly changing their mind in favor of the
Right,
committee.
well, but that doesn't mean that they need to have a vote at the commission level, though. They can still be privy to all the discussion and the reasoning behind a decision by the commission, but they just don't get, they don't need necessarily to have a vote on it at the commission level.
Well, I think if you're asking somebody to attend meetings and be there as a member, they should be able to vote. Unless they're not, unless their absences are in violation of the bylaws, and then you would go to the Board of Selectmen and tell them that this person is not coming to the meetings and per the bylaws can no longer be a member. But if they are a member in good standing, why can't they vote? At the commission level.
I guess, right now we're blessed with a very engaged and active member of the Board of Selectmen's office. I think, again, I mean, I don't know that, again, I think we're trying to think about the future and just, if we don't have quite as an engaged member of the Board of Selectmen's office, I don't think that's going to necessarily affect the work of the Parks and Rec Commission. In the future, if we have a Board of Selectmen who isn't, attends 60% of the meetings, the work of the commission is going to continue because, as Matt was saying, we have a pretty robust willingness to participate by our townspeople. And anyway, I'm going to finish there. I mean, I just don't know. I don't want to act on this document purely based on our current situation with Lynn and with you, for that matter, previously.
Yeah, I mean, we are fortunate in that we have a former third selectman who served in this role in
Mhm.
Rufus, so he has experience in that situation, so.
Can I ask a question to Lynn H? Just a general inquiry, if you don't mind, just some history question, not like, this was not preemptive, this is just general as I'm thinking, as we're talking about third selectman. Lynn H, in the past, has there been third selectman involvement with the commission when you were commission chair, or was it just Rufus and Lynn that have been truly the most engaged third select people?
In the past, thank you for asking. In the past, I believe the selectmen had asked that a member of the Board of Selectmen, so they were appointed in the beginning of their commission, when they were voted on the Board of Selectmen board. They would just be asked to come to our meeting so that they could go back to the Board of Selectmen with, an idea like what you guys are talking about, being involved but not voting, to where they could go back to the Board of Selectmen and give them an update on what Park and Rec is doing. I think before that, or maybe after, I don't remember if it was before or after, but at one point it was the department heads would go to the Board of Selectmen meeting and give an update on their board or commission. And then it got switched to the other way, where they were asked, the selectmen were given a role and asked to sit in on those meetings to come back with a report on that board or commission. They were never ever considered voting members.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. No, and that's very helpful to know, and thank you for giving that answer to it. So that kind of I've been thinking about when Rufus was talking and Glenn, what you were talking, Kate, when you were talking. To me, it just seems like the third selectman would be a facet of the first selectman or a delegated duty that they say, hey, I can't attend all these meetings. I need to send out X, Y. I need to ask my 2 select people to go sit in on meetings. So that was one thought process I had. I was like, that would make sense to report back. But when you have department heads that are attending me, I mean, I can gladly attend selectmen meetings and give reports. And Lynn, I appreciate that you do include my reports, and I know you included in the last Board of Selectmen meeting and you shared it. So thank you for doing that. And it's, I appreciate that level of support and I appreciate that level of diligence and ability to do that. But to me, that seems something that the Park and Rec director should do instead as an administrative duty to report to the Board of Selectmen on something, if that's the route we should take.
Well, the selectmen, each of the second and the third selectmen were asked to create a monthly report. Now, that's been a longstanding tradition.
Mhm.
And previously it was oral. And Glenn and I said we wanted to do it written. So that's why you see that. And then rather than regurgitate the information that you have, I've been sharing your report because it has the most detail if somebody doesn't want to wade through all the minutes.
Thank you.
Mhm. And Lynn's right that department heads in past were very diligent about attending the meetings. I can remember when the meetings were only held in person and the majority of people in the meetings were department heads of the selectmen. But I do not agree with her the way she characterized that the second and third selectmen were delegated to go to different meetings and represent the selectmen. That I do not remember that happening in my years of covering the town. The second and third selectmen were delegated to do different committees over the years and report back on those committees. And they were the liaison to those different committees, but not boards per se. Like there wasn't anybody who represented the selectmen in the Conservation Commission meetings other than the first selectman, as a way of an example.
Gotcha.
I think the reason why the third, I do not know, we've talked about the historical context of why the third selectman was put on this commission, but it was put there and put into the ordinance. So we basically just have to make a decision of which way is best. We can make a recommendation to the commission and they can decide, the full commission can decide which way they want to go. Or we can choose not to make a recommendation and just say, we've talked about it. We think the commission should make the decision. Take the direction from you guys though, because I don't want to influence this.
I think it's best if it comes from Rufus, John, and Kate. I feel that I should only just give input on just from the department standpoint. I don't think I should be giving recommendations on the next step for the process for Section 7.
All right, well, I think Rufus, I understand your point of view, what you say that they should be a voting member. If you're going to encourage people to come to these meetings, they should have a vote. I understand that. It is my feeling that I would love to continue to have the third selectman on the Parks and Rec Commission, but I don't think that they should be a voting member. That's where I stand on it. I think it's cleaner, and I think I think it sets the right pressure, puts the right pressure on the right people, and I think that's the most reasonable place.
I'm with Kate. John's with Kate.
Okay,
All right. Okay. So why don't we do a vote that to remove that section 7, Article 3, section 7, just so we have it on the record.
So moved.
Aren't you keeping the third selectman as a member?
Yeah,
It's just becoming a non-voting.
ex officio, yeah, a non-voting ex officio member.
Okay, sorry.
There was a move on that motion.
Yeah,
Sorry,
John, are you okay with
I'm-
that change?
I'm with, yeah. I'm gonna withdraw my, proposal.
Okay. So the new motion would be to amend section 7 to say the third selectman on the Board of Selectmen is a non-voting ex officio member.
Correct. I'll forward that.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second,
Okay. All those in favor?
aye.
All right.
And I abstain.
So then, just for practicality reasons, Article 3, Section 1, the Park and Rec Commission of the Town of Kent shall consist of 7 members and 2 alternate members, and the third selectman who is a non-voting member, or 7 voting members, 2 alternates, and third selectman.
Maybe just stick out the word non-voting third selectman.
Okay,
None of that.
and and then change 6 to 7 as an increase, so that we go back to the
No, because the way,
number.
if you read through what Randy said, he was pretty clear that it was a member the way, and it's 7 total, but there's an and in there, third selectman and 6. So,
Right.
Right. But did we want to have 7 voting members and go back to that number, or do we want to stick with 6, just as a recommendation to the commission?
Oh, in terms of,
Ties or anything along those lines, because if it's a tie, it does go to the chairman. But I don't know if it would be if it would be cleaner to have the 7 and stick with what traditionally we've had as numbers.
we have other boards in town that have 6, the Board of Education, the Board of Finance. So if there's a tie, a thing, the vote dies.
Not necessarily. I think.
If there's a tie
There's a
vote, then.
tie, doesn't the chair break the tie?
It depends on how, we haven't actually addressed that about whether or not a chairman would vote. Most of the time, the chair decides whether or not they want to vote or not. And our practice has been the chair has voted, I think.
Can I make a quick statement?
I have no problem.
I'll write it if you guys don't want me to say it, but I
Okay.
just want to refer to the bylaws and constitution, and some of those are actually under state statute. And I believe that the state statute, or maybe an ordinance, although I can't find it, there is a section that has been repealed recently, and that could have been it. But it did say it's 6 members and 2 alternates, so that's all.
There is no state statute regarding Park and Rec. The only state statute regarding it is setting up a fund, Park and Rec fund. So there's nothing in state statute that governs how Park and Rec should be operated.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, it was, but it's, when you look at that, it says there's a bunch of that section that's been repealed. And I'm pretty sure when I read it, it was on that first section, so. I don't know where it went, I've looked all over for it and I can't find it.
Well, thanks for your input. The other question that we should talk about, because it was it was brought up is, do we want to have the Park and Rec commissions elected, like during a regular election? That would mean changing the ordinance. But that would bring the Park and Rec Commission on the same level as other commissions and boards in town. It wouldn't be done through town meeting. It would be, you vote on them in the election, you go onto the ballot and you vote for your Park and Rec members.
I like it the way it is.
What's the argument for that? Yeah, I kind of like it the way it is too.
I think that there's, if people have to, I mean, in essence, most of these commissions, there's not a whole lot of campaigning, but there may be a different level of seriousness to taking on this responsibility if you are being elected by the entire electorate. I think that would be the argument in favor of it.
I'm embarrassed that I don't know which other commissions operate like us without the, we elect.
The appointed commissions are Historic District Commission, Conservation Commission, and I think that maybe Inland Wetlands Commission. I can't really think of any.
All right, so like sewer,
That's elected. All
that's
the others are
elected.
Board of Education, Board of Finance,
Yes, yeah.
Selectmen,
Yeah. I
Planning and
get-
Zoning,
Right.
Zoning Board of Appeals,
Gosh,
all elected.
What do you think, Rufus?
Just-
Um. I'm sort of fine with the way it is because I think people who I think I'd rather have a commission where the individuals step forward to join rather than get elected.
Yes, yes.
And it takes the politics out of it.
I like it. Yeah,
Exactly.
well said. Well said.
So I vote to change it.
Leave it the same. Okay. Okay, one last thought. Do we want to recommend changes to the ordinance, or do we want to just move the bylaws through and then ask the town attorney to make the changes to the ordinance? Because there will be
The latter.
we will need to make changes because of the way we've structured the alternates. And also now
That seems the
selectmen.
easier way to go. Can we go the easy way? And then if we get pushback, we can do it differently?
Right.
All right. So, Matt, are you okay with making these changes?
Yeah, I can definitely make these changes and have it ready to go for 7 days before our next, I can get it out before our next commission meeting.
Yeah, it needs to go out before the 9th, or at
Yeah.
least by the 9th.
Can
Alright.
can I go to the expenditures section?
Yeah,
In the expenditures section, number 4, we talk about programs. I was looking at it and I was thinking that the program part of it could be split out into another article. And then instructor, number 5 could be part of expenditures. And number 6 could be part of programs. And then, I just thought that because the program part of it isn't so much of doesn't really fit under the title expenditures. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
But there are, unless there's a program that has no cost at all, the fee-free programs, that doesn't have an expenditure, but the other things do have expenses connected to them.
I know that we were on the thought process of allowing the Park and Rec director to establish programs that don't have a fee associated with them nor an expense and operate those programs solely. So would it make more sense to just make redefine the sections, make it sections 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then this be section 2 programs and define our fee-based programs, fee-based and instructor-based programs, and then fee-free programs that are there's no charge and there's no expense related to it, and it's something that we just stick there instead of I get what Kate's saying, so I'm just trying to jump on it with Kate and say it might make more sense just to stick it all there and maybe modify.
you could just change Article 9 could be programs and expenditures, and then you could, I mean, it just sort of doesn't make sense to have programs under the title of expenditures.
Okay, yeah, why don't we just change that makes sense to me.
Um,
The Article 9 title.
Yeah, and then you can have section, and then number 4 could be
Programs.
What about-
section 2, and then the bidding could be section 3, and then, you know what I mean, as follows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what about,
But number 6 should come back up to sorry, go ahead, Rufus, sorry.
I was gonna say, if you had 1, 2, and 3 under section 1,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if section 2 would be programs, Park and Rec Department will offer the following, period. A, fee-based programs, and then take 6 and make that a subsection of fee-based programs. B, fee-free based programs,
Mm-hmm.
and then fee-based programs,
Make 5 and 6 subsections of A.
Yeah.
subsections of A and B. B would be fee-based programs, fee-free based programs. Yeah, it's a mouthful. But that, and then 7 would be 7 or 8 would be a subsection of B, 4B, and 7 and 6 would be, and then you would have 5. The instructors are not employees. That make that clear under programs.
Yeah, I was in I think that makes sense, Rufus. Does that make sense, Matt?
That makes sense. So I'm just so previously approved fee-based programs that have been altered. That's number 7. That should be moved as a subsection of A. So 5 and 7 go under A, then B, and then number 5 is its standalone entity under that section, right? Just so I can understand what I'm.
6 and 7
Mhm.
would be sub paragraphs of 4A.
Okay.
And then 8 would be a subparagraph of 4B, and 5 stands on its own. So section 1, 1, 2, 3, section 2, 4, 5, or 1, 2, if you redo this that way.
Right. Which is number 8? I don't have a number 8 on the document that I have.
I don't
All
either.
fee-free programs that have been approved by the commission do not need additional approval for new sessions.
That's
Programs
6.
can be renewed, canceled, and commenced. Did we get rid of that, or am I?
It's
looking-
under 6.
Because we merged that into one, right?
Yep.
Yeah, a while ago. Yep. Yeah.
Oh,
So-
so it's 6 and 8 on the copy I'm looking at is actually identical.
Yeah, that's all rolled into 6, I think.
Yeah. So put 6 and 7. Oh, no, 8 is all fee-free programs. So the 8 is identical to 6, except it's not fee-based programs. It's all fee-free programs.
But the document you're looking at is, it must be outdated because the one that we have has 6, it reads all fee-based and fee-free programs that have been approved by the commission do not need additional approval for new sessions. Programs can be renewed, canceled, and commenced based on the Park and Rec director's
Okay,
discretion
so
with
then
the-
6 would become 5,
Yep.
and then 5 would become 6.
Yep. Do a little swapsies.
Okay,
Okay.
All right.
And this is, I'm channeling Blythe Everett here. Just number 5 can be a lot shorter. If you just put say instructors or entities of fee programs are not employees of the Parks and Recreation Department, period. They shall be entitled to receive a percentage of the registration fees collected, comma, split with the town, comma, with an arrangement made in accordance with Parks and Recreation Department policy and approved by the commission. Do you want me to type that in? It's just,
Yeah.
you could just take like, a lot of the words out of that and it says the same thing.
I can happily make that edit.
okay. That sounds great, Kate. All for streamlining wording.
That was
Anything-
Blythe's
anything else that-
superpower.
Anything that you guys also noticed that might need to be adjusted?
Well, we were talking about getting a day off. There was nothing there other than, if the something came up for Matt and Rufus was out. So the only way we could do that is for the selectmen to okay that, but it's not in writing. Should that be in writing?
I thought that what we approved was a policy.
Yeah, maybe
The
I don't have the
motion that we
updated one.
made was that. I mean, it is in writing because it's a motion that we made, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a motion that we
I
made,
see
but
that.
do we want to add it? No, that's a good question, John. Do we want to add it under we can add it somewhere.
Somewhere, yes,
Unless
because,
that's- Yeah. Do we want to add it under officer duties and it says the chairman shall, shall preside over all meetings, the commission Commission of Public Affairs, consult with the director on each meeting agenda and present the annual budget request to the Board of Selectmen with the Park and Recreation Director and approve the Park and Rec Director's time off. And then the vice chairman will preside in meetings and approve time off in absence of the chair. Just so that if, let's say, Rufus, something happened and you were not available and I needed to approve time off because of an emergency or something, and someone else and the vice chair was available.
or the first selectman.
Or the.
But-
Do we need to add that in to the
No,
bylaws?
I don't think we need to add the first selectman. Because the way, if I'm remembering our motion correctly, we agreed that you would get the okay from the chairman,
Mhm,
and then it would go to the first selectman.
mhm.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes me nervous is part of the reason why this bylaws document did not get changed very often is because people were like afraid to make changes to it. So this seems like a very sort of internal policy type thing. Very operational, of, approving of time off. There's not a whole lot of personnel type stuff in the bylaws.
Could that be in the
kind of-
job description?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did put a lot in the job description, and I reviewed that this morning. It stands pretty well now, I think. At first I thought we were gonna need to change it, but I don't really think there's much need to change the job description unless we wanted. I don't know. We wanted to include this in that. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, I have no problem if we wanted to say that the chairman approves time off. Because then it would be locked in and.
I'm indifferent. I think it might be helpful just to include what the job description is of the chairman. But
Well, we don't really.
Well, it's under
we don't
duties
need a
of the
full
chairman,
job
rather.
Description.
duties rather, sorry.
Oh,
Duties, job description duties, I used it as an interchangeable term.
okay.
But the duties of the chairman, maybe just say they approve the park and rec director's time off, and I can.
And
add that
then
in.
maybe instead of the vice chairman,
Will step in
yeah, and
and uh,
fulfill the duties of the
execute
chairman in his
chairman
absence.
duties if the chairman is absent.
Exactly.
Mhm.
That way it's covered.
Who is the second in charge of Park and Rec?
We don't have anybody right now. This is a new
Okay.
position we're creating.
Okay, good. I'd like to see it added, for clarity.
Okay, sounds good.
I can add in and approve time off. I can add to that language.
Okay,
Under section 1, and then just have section 2. The vice chairman will step in and execute the duties of the chairman if the chairman is absent.
Yep.
so Matt, do you mind just sending it to all of us after you've made the changes?
Yeah.
Before it goes, just so we can take a look at it really quick and make sure everything got incorporated before you send it off to
Yeah.
everybody else.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
More than
because-
happy to do that. And I scheduled some time today to get that accomplished. So I'm
Okay.
happy to do that today to send it out before tomorrow so we have some time to look at it.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Yeah,
I
quick-
want to again say, oh, sorry, were you talking, John? Go ahead.
Oh, no, you first. Go ahead. Ladies first.
I was just gonna say, and I don't even know where it is. I just want to go on record saying that I disagree with section 1, number 2. I think you're hamstringing yourself by mentioning those things. I know, Lynn, you disagree with me, but I do think that you could accomplish that by saying using the word significant, or for middle management supervisors of significant programming or something like that. But I don't think I just wanted to say that, but I'm fine with leaving it there as it is, but I just disagree with it.
Okay.
Which article are you referring to, Kate?
Well, the Board of Selectmen shall act on the commission's recommended hiring of middle management supervisors, such as the after-school program director, summer day camp director, and Emery Park waterfront supervisor. It is my feeling that in the bylaws, you don't have to mention specific titles of specific programs, as programs can change. And it sort of it gives the indication that the Parks and Rec Commission is somehow obligated to run an after-school program, a summer day camp program, and a Emery Park waterfront program. And even though it uses them as examples, I just feel like that I feel like it's unnecessary to put in the bylaws to actually title the programs that we currently have. I think you're hamstringing future, you're just muddying up the document and you're potentially hamstringing future commissions.
That's a point.
Yeah.
But I think there's a feeling that it was nice to have specifics in there in light of some of the, some of the problems the commission has had in hiring middle management supervisors in the recent past. But I wonder if, the point could be made in a more general way without mentioning specific programming.
The problem I had with it was I wanted it to be clear what came before the selectmen and which did not. So by omission, those things would not come before the selectmen. So I don't know how you make it more general and with this, either that, I mean, I don't know how to word it.
We can add a footnote and just say historically positions such as after-school program care director, summer day camp director, and Emery Park waterfront supervisors have been designated as middle management positions to give that example to future commissions as to what were middle management positions, just to help float the idea. We don't have to include it formally in the document as an item under expenditures, but footnote as a reference point might be helpful. We could.
That's a nice idea.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the wording is tough, Lynn, I agree with you. And I, middle management supervise, I was thinking of significant multi-week programs or significant multi-month programs or significant, you could do an hourly, put a number of hours on it, just to somehow.
But it's tricky because those seasonal people who work in the day camp, they rack up a number of hours. So
Right. No. I
it's
get it.
not
I
really
get it.
tied to hours. It's more tied to the
Yeah.
responsibility.
Yeah. So of significant programs. Board of Selectmen shall act on the commission's recommendation, hiring of middle management supervisors of significant programs. And then Matt, with a footnote, I think that's a good compromise, maybe. I'm willing to be disagreed with here. It just makes me uncomfortable. And again, I'm thinking of the commission 5 years from now or 10 years from now. That's what I'm thinking about.
It'd be the only footnote in the whole document. And honestly, I think it's just cleaner, easier to include it in the wording. It does say such as, it does not say these are the positions. But happy to go with whatever you, Rufus and John, what do you guys think?
I'm lost.
It's
don't even
it's
see it.
Article 9 expenditures and it's number 2,
Article
Section
9.
subsection 2.
2. Okay.
section 1, number 2.
My issue is it somehow obligates the Parks and Rec Commission to run those programs.
Doesn't such as that phrase
I
indicate?
get, yeah, yes, but it's still, I mean, you can still read it as saying such as these programs that the Parks and Recreation runs. Do you know what I mean? Like you could, um,
And to echo Kate, it's the only item in the document that references such as. So like there's nothing else in the document that references other things as such as and gives examples. This seems to be the only one that gives the example. I think it could be deleted. I think that having specifics in there as to what middle management or to what middle management should be, it does give that obligation to run those specific programs. And if we remove it, it gives the ability for the lateral and unilateral restructuring, if there ever needs to be restructuring or allows for growth of programs, it doesn't have to limit to those specifically because it's obligated that we have to have these things. So I echo Kate on that one.
So you believe that just by listing them, that obligates us, even though it's saying such as?
I feel it empowers us that we have to have it. Like right now, we don't have a waterfront at Emery Park. However, right now it's compelling that if we had waterfront and it needed to be open, we need to have that supervisor. Or if we have the waterfront somewhere, we need to have a waterfront supervisor right now. And let's say we don't have the funds to operate it, or we don't have the means to operate it, or the capacity to operate it. It feels compelling that we're failing the community to do it because it's obligated in our bylaws.
Take out such as.
No, we can't take out such as because that's a crucial phrase. It does bring up a point that we probably should have these bylaws reviewed by Randy DeBella. Because this is I'm sure this is a legal phrase, you know, it's a legal terminology of whether or not what you just said, Matt, is accurate or not. So when we ask for the ordinance changes, we should probably send this to them as well. I mean, I'm fine if you want to put a footnote in. I just worry that, you know, 5 years from now, the footnote will drop off the document and it'll be very confusing to people. Or 10 years from now.
I don't think a footnote is the right way to go.
Mhm.
what do you think, Rufus?
I'm not even seeing when I opened up the documents for today's meeting, I don't even see any of this stuff. Yeah, I don't see the.
It's under
I'm
Article
reading
9
this- What
expenditure.
you're reading.
Mhm.
You don't see the sentence that we're talking about?
Not with what you're talking about. I just see including the after-school program director, summer day camp Kent director, and
Oh, yeah, you're looking at an old one, Rufus. You're
yeah,
looking at an
so
old
that was
document.
what I opened up for today.
Yeah, we changed including to such as
Yeah.
another
I just-
meeting.
Rufus, I just emailed it to you.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I would think that, let me see what I email. Okay. Which article is it now? The 8?
We're
It's,
back, we're still in
nine.
Article
9.
9, and it's number 2.
Section 1, number 2.
Oh, section, yeah, right. Sorry.
Um, So s- what if we just said such as program directors, program supervisors, program directors, supervisors, instead of naming after school, summer day camp and waterfront?
Great.
Such as individual program directors or supervisors.
Great.
Yeah.
I don't agree, but you guys can outvote me.
Well, yeah, just send it back to Randy. What he says.
Well, no, I mean, this is to send to the commission.
Okay.
I just know how difficult, and I'm repeating myself, but I know how difficult it was when we didn't have a director and we didn't have many members with a history on the commission. That this particular thing came up that it was like, well, what do we do? What, you know, what needs to go, you know, we're hiring people. What is the process?
But
So.
In the
I-
same token, just to jump on that, and I apologize if this sounds harsh, but shouldn't it be pretty self-explanatory about what a middle management supervisor would be in the capacity of the Park and Recreation Department?
No,
Would
because
that be something that would be interpretive, especially, I mean, we could put it in the job description, it makes more sense to put it there. It just, to me, seems that when we have a structured department and we have an organizational structure, it's pretty expressive and explicit as to what middle management would be. So I don't think we need to provide examples when the department operationally and personnel wise can express what middle management is. I agree with Kate. I just don't think having the such as part is needed. I think it should be expressed from the department level as to personnel wise what classifies middle management and one doesn't.
okay,
And
well,
that should be clearly
if-
communicated to the commission. I mean,
if you-
that's just, for me, it makes sense.
if you create a document that is updated and each succeeding director updates that document, that's fine. You know, but we don't have a document unless you've created one and we're not aware of it, that shows operational structure of the department and the commission.
I mean, I can gladly create one and share it, but to me, it just seems this is a hiring process thing, and middle management should be pretty explicit as to what it should be, and we put it in the job description. For future commissions, to me, it just seems that when you have somebody with the title of program director, summer day camp director, supervisor, it's more middle management than frontline when you don't have leadership terms or management terms associated in the title or in the job description. That just, to me, and you know, as a layperson, could make more sense too. But I just feel adding the such as part, it's not specifically obligatory, but it does imply some obligation. So I just see it as it makes sense personnel wise to just have it in the job description, say this is middle management.
Why, I'm just curious why the Board of Selectmen have to act on middle management.
They don't. I mean, that's been the historical process. We could easily take this out and just say to the Board of Selectmen, we don't want this to happen anymore. But there's been no discussion of that.
I mean, it's like, I've been running the softball league in New Milford for who knows how many years, and
Ever.
it's the commission that hires me.
I mean, I think it would make sense for it to be the commission's act to, it just say personnel other than the Park and Recreation Director are to be hired by the commission.
We already.
It
yeah.
just it already says part-time personnel hired. It should just say personnel or personnel other than the Park and Recreation Director can be hired and approved by the commission prior to beginning the position. and just remove it from going to the selectman level, unless we feel that there is a significant need and value for going to the selectman level. Is there validation that we need? Is there some sort of importance and significance behind it that supports hiring this person at a middle management level that we need select people to give approval on? If we already have a select person that is a non-voting member of the commission, is that enough support for us to hire this person to give feedback? I mean, that also plays into it too, is we had a select, this is why I question that third selectman person in position, is because that's an administrative task is to hire. And now we have a third selectman voting on it, and then it goes to the select board for hire, and I have to get approval from the selectman to hire someone. It just, to me, it just seems that there's that crossover right there too, and it shows the administrative blurred line. So to me, it just shows that we should just lump it all together and have the commission hire somebody. And if the third selectman is going to be a non-voting member, they give feedback and input upon hiring that person if necessary.
So
And
the
just-
way this, I think the thought behind, here's a guess on the thought process behind this, was that the sort of worker bees, seasonal employees
Mhm.
didn't need to go before the selectmen.
Right.
But there was some thought that it, in general, the selectmen hire almost all the employees. So that's probably where this comes from. Like, the assistant clerk in every department has to go through the Board of Selectmen. So, and those are all part-time jobs. So the only aberration is the seasonal workers. They are just hired by the commission. And we have also extended that to the workers that are working for after-school program. Because they're usually very part-time. And I think there's quite a bit of changeover. So I think that's where this comes from. So there may be some pushback from the selectmen who say, nope, we really need to continue to be able to approve part-time people that are hired to work for the town.
So maybe if you, I mean, restructure two completely and just say that the commission will recommend middle management hiring, such as program directors or supervisors, to the Board of Selectmen.
Just for clarification, program directors are not people who run programs and get paid for it, right?
No,
Mean-
that would just be a
meaning-
staff member. A program director is somebody who is extensively planning a very large facet of the department. So after school program, camp director, those are supervisory middle management positions. They're actively supervising staff in an operational day-to-day motion and position.
I guess my point is, we don't use that terminology in like any fee program. People that we're paying through a fee program, right? I just want to
Yes,
make.
so we use the term instructor, yeah. They're instructor, so we have
Okay.
instructors for that. And we're talking about directors, if we could just simplify it like that. So these are, I actually feel that for a group of a volunteer board to be allowing the spending, potential, I mean, these salaries are pretty big, and I can see the selectmen being a little uncomfortable allowing a volunteer board to allocate significant taxpayer funds to I can see that being a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I would anticipate pushback if we were to say we get to,
Hire everyone.
hire directors at our pleasure.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I think there just needs to be clear cut definition as to what a middle management director is, or a middle management position is from from the department side, from the staff side to the commission, so that there's a clear explanation of what it is. If it's in the bylaws, those, like Rufus said, I'm fine with the program directors and supervisors as as examples, but
I
if
would
we
just
put
want to
it
make
together,
sure,
copy it
I would
as-
want to make
as
sure
a-
that those job descriptions for those positions all reference that.
I
So,
mean,
so there's duplication there.
yeah,
there can
for
be
sure.
transparency amongst everything, yes, and there can
Yeah.
be consistency, yes.
So what are we settling on in terms of the wording of this? Did you guys like the way that Rufus had structured it?
The commission will recommend hiring of middle management
Positions. Take out supervisors.
positions
Shall
such
act on
as
the,
program directors or
Yeah.
Right.
supervisors
yeah, there you go.
to the Board of Selectmen.
Agreed.
I mean, we really shouldn't have the Board of Selectmen shall act in our,
That's true.
that'll be up to them to,
Yeah, what do we mean by shall act, to be honest? Shall, what do we mean by
Take
that?
action. Take action on recommendations.
make the important word recommendation, the commission will recommend hiring of middle management positions such as program directors or supervisors to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
Program supervisors.
Right.
Programs, yep.
Yeah.
Program directors and program supervisors, yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks for hashing that out.
No, thank you, Kate, for bringing it up.
All right. Anything else?
Yes,
Okay.
just one thing, for Article 6, Section 1, I just ask if we can take into consideration if we do have the third selectman as a non-voting member, if they should be allowed to be chairman or vice chairman of the commission. I just want to field that question with the subcommittee to see if that's something that we should be.
Yeah, if they're not voting, they
Chairman.
shouldn't be chairman.
And even if they were voting, is it something that is of ethical standpoint for us to have them as a chairman or vice chairman?
Good point.
I don't know. 'Cause
Again,
I can't be objective.
Yeah,
you might limit a future board who has members that are willing to be members, but not willing to be chair or vice chair. Or you say the commission shall choose from its voting membership.
Well, that's a good way around it.
yeah.
Good point.
The commission shall choose from its voting membership such officers as it deems necessary. if you want to do it that way, but it
Yeah.
may come back to bite you.
So a chairman and vice chairman shall be elected at an annual commission meeting in January of voting commission members. Or should I just throw it in some nominate, should I just say nominations shall be made from the floor and a commission and a chairman elected by ballot? A chairman, vice chairman must
No,
satisfy the requirements or
Rufus
something
was
along those lines.
Rufus was suggesting changing that last line.
That last line. So commission shall choose from its membership. and may
Voting
choose
membership.
Such officers. Okay, so shall choose from its voting membership.
Such
Got
officers as it deems necessary. But if that's what you think, but otherwise, I think you might have a third selectman who wants to be, you're just talking about two positions now. Maybe down the road, they want to name a third position.
Well, that line actually gives the commission the right to do that.
Yeah,
May choose such officers as it deems necessary. So you could have a secretary, you could have a treasurer.
so, but you can get rid of the "and may choose." The commissioner shall choose from its membership such officers as it deems necessary. Get rid of those three. And that leaves it open that you might be able to use the third selectman or not.
Yeah, that makes sense. Again, it's just understanding, just trying to give that balance of powers. So if someone were to be the third selectman and now they're chairman and they were a voting member, it gives a lot of power to that individual and drive. So it drives the commission. And I wanted to make sure that there's a good balance with the commission, especially since this is a volunteer board, and give that recommendation for a volunteer board that there's somebody who is volunteering their time to dedicate to this commission instead of someone who is placed here by office and now is chairman, a voting member, and also reporting back to the select board and may have political affiliation and might be driving in some fashion with that political body's affiliation. So I just want to make sure that there is transparency and there's this good sound board preventing any sort of power dynamics that might sway in one way or really drive things to go in a specific direction. So these are all just these are just hypotheticals. I like to sit here when I see something, when we have a document in front of us that binds policy and binds the direction of a commission or a department. It's good to think of the worst things that could happen and how do we prevent the worst things from happening. So that's the only reason why I give these recommendations and I voice them, is because I want to prevent the worst from happening from the department and from the commission and from the community. So
I think we should just vote and because I'm not clear everybody's on the same page here. So all those in favor of making this change, inserting the word non-voting member, non-voting membership, my bad.
wait,
All those in favor? Or maybe just consensus. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
so the commission will choose from its non-voting membership.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what the commission shall choose from its
It's voting.
It's voting membership. I'm
Right,
sorry.
right.
I'm getting tired.
No, that's
Actually-
okay. I was confused for a
actually-
second. I was like, wait, so
Right.
who's our non-voting membership? We only have one version that we've recommended, so
Okay.
So here, how about wording it this way? The commission's voting membership shall or may choose such officers as it deems necessary. That doesn't mean that the officer has to be a voting member. Leaves it open.
Okay.
it's the voting members are gonna make that choice
Okay,
So they could choose the third selectman if they want.
if they want.
Yeah, that makes sense. I
That
like
makes
it.
more sense.
So the
Okay.
commission's voting membership may choose such officers as it deems necessary.
okay. Perfect.
I vote yes.
Okay,
I like it.
Okay,
good. Anything else?
wow, good meeting.
All right, we got through a lot. Thank you all. Appreciate you guys spending the
Wait,
time.
wait, hang on a second. You got here to set a meeting date and time for next?
Yeah, but
meeting?
I don't think we need another one. I think we're good. This is, we've taken care of everything.
Okay.
And we'll send us,
So this has
Matt's
to
gonna
get
s-
out to us before the 9th, right?
right, Matt's gonna make the
Right.
changes. He's gonna send us the draft. And then,
So-
it
Should
would
we-
help if everybody just sort of replied and said, looks good, or if there's something you see that might be wrong, just hit reply also.
Right.
We all know, that everybody's read it and is good with it, or if
Yeah.
there's an issue.
Should we
And
just
then
have
Correct.
set a
quick-
meeting date and time to just formally approve it to give as a recommendation to the commission? I think that might be a better way of just doing it.
Oh,
Just
I
to
don't
say
know,
that we set, I mean, I'm happy to do this quick instead of formal, so we have a 5-minute Zoom call where we give a formal
Right.
vote on yes or no. I think that,
We've approved it. We are just verifying that the wording that we have. Why don't we make a motion right now? And then we're just verifying that everything we talked about is in the document
sure,
that you are creating for us.
Yeah.
That's all I want. I just want a verification that and if people on this call, if they want to say, you know,
We need another meeting.
yeah, I mean, that's fine, but I mean, I don't want to slow this down.
Yeah, I think that's, why don't we
Yeah.
work your magic, Matt? And then, and if someone has a big issue, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
yeah,
But it
But
would
let's
be
be up-
helpful.
yeah.
It would be helpful if everybody could just verify and hit reply. Either let Matt know that they've read it and it's okay, or hit reply all, just so we
Yeah,
have verification that everybody has read through it.
Matt, can you do that by the end of the week or?
yeah, absolutely.
And then that gives us a chance, if there are questions, to maybe schedule something toward the end of next week. In case there is still confusion. But then we should get it mailed out to people the morning of the 9th or earlier.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Thursday, September 5th is, I've got a nice, I got time next week if need be.
you have
Great.
time on the 5th?
All right, well, let's hopefully
hopefully-
everything's great and we
yeah,
don't
yeah.
need to meet again, but,
Right.
All right.
all right.
So we're gonna
so-
Hey, Ruth.
entertain a motion, or are we gonna have a motion to approve with edits? Or I know that we just said that, just we're good to go, or we just.
Yeah,
going?
I'll make a motion to approve the draft bylaws with the edits as discussed.
Second.
Your Second? Second from John.
Rufus,
Yeah,
I need you to call me right after this meeting ASAP.
okay.
Okay, all those in favor, motion to approve the draft bylaws with the edits discussed.
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent, unanimous, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lynn, for sharing.
All right, now we can,
Forward.
we can adjourn at 1:34. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very
Bye.
much. Appreciate all your input.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.